financial contribution, an excellent clinical team, and plenty of fun activities, our homes are the perfect retirement choice. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/homes. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys want a happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We have made it. It's Friday. It's somewhat football season, I suppose, because we have decided to do this thing we call the spring game tomorrow. And we're going to talk all about it today. It's an exciting couple of days, exciting weekend. If you don't know, well, you should know, because we've talked about it for a couple of days. But if you don't know, we're going to be at Tipsy Tina's 8th and Q in the Haymarket tomorrow, starting at 10:30 a.m. Nick Sainer joining you. Rico's going to join me here in a moment. We're going to switch it up. Normally, so part of the weekend festivities, as Husker fans know, includes Frank Solich coming to Lincoln. And he's going to actually speak to the media around 1:45 today. So I'm going to get out of here a little before then, go down there, listen to what Frank Solich, the former Husker head coach, has to say. Normally on Fridays, we have Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska on at 1:30, but today we're going to move him up to 1 o'clock. Rico is calling Zack right now. And at 1:30, you guys are going to hear, in case you missed it a couple weeks ago, I think we talked to him on March 31st, and that is Frank Solich. When I filled in for the good old Jake Sorensen on early break, myself, Steve Sipple, and Bill Bush talked to Frank Solich. And so we're going to replay that conversation for you with the former Husker head coach in the second segment. So stick around. That's a really, really good conversation with the legendary coach, Frank Solich. That one, once again, will come up at 1:30. And then Rico will close out the show with Austin and Strick. And Rico, are you okay? You stubbed your toe coming back into the studio.
I nailed my knee on the door.
Okay, you nailed your knee on the door. Are you okay?
I think I'm dead.
Okay. Well, Rico's half alive, and he's over there on the other side of the table. So, as always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line, both those open for you guys the entire way. Thomas and Lincoln says, wow, look at Nick ditching Rico again. Rico, I need you to defend me here.
Why? I'm the one that makes fun of you.
Okay, so at least when I ditch you, it's for good reason. I don't just ever ditch you just to ditch you.
Well, I told him yesterday, I don't know if you're actually at class. You could have graduated in December for all I know.
If that's the case.
You're out here writing fake papers.
Yeah, well, so who knows? Chase B sarcastically says, I would have never guessed you guys are going to be at Tipsy Tina's on Saturday after listening to you all week. Well, Chase.
Hey, Chase, guess what? We're going to be at Tipsy Tina's.
Tipsy Tina's 8th and Q in the Haymarket. And, somebody that's never stopped by Tipsy Tina's while we're there is Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska. Now I get it that Zack is just moved or just finished moving to Lincoln.
No, Zack hates us.
But Zack hates us. So we bring in with that Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska. Zack, what's up, man? Happy Friday.
Oh, I love you guys. What are you talking about? I definitely don't talk crap about you behind your back as soon as we hang up.
That's funny. That's funny. Our mutual friend Steve says something else.
Oh, well, he's spreading false rumors. He's trying to tear us apart. I think he wants to build a corner of the market.
I'm sure
on Inside Nebraska reporters coming on your radio show. But I actually have been to Tipsy Tina's once a couple months ago. Are they a sponsor?
They are. So we can talk about them.
In that case, I absolutely love Tipsy Tina's, and
yeah.
I was definitely not underwhelmed. Their margaritas, they have two different sizes, and I went with the larger one, obviously.
Yep.
And it was like, holy bleep, this is a lot more liquid than I anticipated. I did not realize the margarita was going to be that.
Zach,
that big.
we just got a text on our text line from Rubber Duck from LinkedIn is the text line name, asking us what is our favorite margarita flavor. So I got to go with the mango. Mango margarita is really good.
Yeah.
A mango's pretty good.
I had that mango habanero, I think it's called, at Muchachos, because I went there a second time a couple weeks ago.
Good choice.
Like, all right, well, there we go with the tahini on the rim.
Oh yeah, that extra little kick.
Rico, favorite margarita flavor?
Oh, you give me that strawberry margarita, and we're gonna have problems.
Now, Zach, here's a question for you, because I just started dipping into like the tequila world. As a 22-year-old, I just started dipping into the tequila world. And so I would ask, what's better in your eyes, a blended margarita or a non-blended margarita?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm 29. I don't even know the difference.
Well, one is blended with ice, and one is just with cubed ice, and it's just got a liquid
mixed around.
I like that one then.
Okay.
Non-blended.
Non-blended with just the cubed ice. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm a cubed ice kind of guy. Thought you knew that.
You seem like a
I should know.
You seem like a cubed ice kind of guy. Very very fancy.
I was about to say I have no idea what that means. I'll roll with it.
Somebody texted in and said, "Tell Zach it's slushy or non-slushy. Which one would you like?"
Non-slushy.
For the children.
All right. Well, 29-year-old Zack Carpenter joins us of Inside Nebraska on the show. Zach, it's an exciting weekend. I mean, it's going to really begin here in about 30 minutes or so when we get to talk to Frank Solich. I mean, just how excited are you to kind of see the product on Saturday? But then also, I mean, there's festivities with Herbie and with Frank Solich coming back.
Yeah, I was just telling Rico this. I was talking about it with one of our subscribers on the Insiders board today. Like, I've never in my life, as either a fan of college football or covering for it for a living, I've never in my life been excited for a spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they're just usually glorified practices. I mean, it's fun, but it's not like it usually isn't that telling. And I've never really been that excited for it until this one. And I'm obviously there'll be people saying like, well, yeah, it's because you cover Nebraska. It's like, well, yeah, but if I wasn't excited for it, I just wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say I'm not excited for it, but I would just not address it. But I am. Like, the fact that they're planning to have it be an actual traditional game, and the 4 15-minute quarters and quarterbacks fully live, which is really, really intriguing and exciting, because I mean, watching highlights of the different spring games across the country, and I've been so locked into this. We're gonna get live quarterbacks for the Nebraska game. I've been so locked into that, sort of knowing that was the plan. Then you watch some of the highlights and no one's getting tackled. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. This isn't the norm. So I think that's really fun and important for all the reasons Will mentioned, of wanting to see his quarterbacks take hits, dish them out, and that, like Satterfield said, you can actually, the quarterbacks play better. They play a little looser, I guess would be the term. Just looser might not even be the word, but it's just like they play like actual quarterbacks when they're actually allowed to be a quarterback. Go figure. But I mean, there's so many different questions and thoughts, things I'm watching, and like juicy storylines like going into it. So could spend an hour talking about that. And I wrote over 4,000 freaking words on that and 2-part story that went today. It's supposed to be 1 part and meant to have it be 2,000 words total. And about 2 a.m. last night, I wrapped up. I was done with it, and I did a word count, and 4,100. I'm like, all right, well, I went a little too hard in the paint there, but it's just because that's how many different things we could talk about or ask going into the game. And then, yeah, you have the festivities of Herbie Husker and Frank Solich, which is the second one, is obviously more impactful because just as a short note, just another telling thing of how Trev Alberts and Matt Rule are number one in line with each other, with their thinking and their visions of, and also welcoming back former coaches and former players to the building. I mean, getting Solich there is top notch. If you're going to bring back former coaches and players in the building, so that's exciting. Really can't wait for the halftime ceremony when he's introduced. I mean, there's going to be standing ovation in front of even if the weather's not as ideal. That stadium's still going to be packed for a spring game. So that's the other thing I'm really excited about. It's my first Nebraska spring game. It's like, all right, we're gonna get a crowd. I'm really happy about that.
We're talking to Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska, and Zack, when you look at the quarterbacks specifically and how they are going to be live, as you mentioned just a couple minutes ago, I mean, that's going to give you, as a Husker fan and I guess as somebody that covers the team, kind of indirectly tells you that they must have gotten out of spring relatively healthy.
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, we haven't heard any rumblings or reports from anybody who was banged up pretty bad. And Rule hasn't mentioned any major injuries, which I think he would. He's been pretty damn honest about that type of stuff. Maybe not specifics necessarily about what guys are dealing with, but I think he's been pretty open about the health updates. You dodged a bullet, obviously, with Ben Scott's knee not being serious as he initially thought and the team initially thought. Elijah Judy's the main one, who rolled his ankle during the scrimmage last Saturday. It doesn't sound like anything major, but he might wind up being held out for precautionary reasons, which a little disappointing because you'd love to see him at such a massively important position. But if he's held out, it's going to be probably better for the long term. But he might go. That's just kind of my conjecture. Yeah. And then there are a couple other minor injuries, like Noah Pola Gates. Rule say he tweaked something the other day. So yeah, I mean, pretty healthy. And it's kind of funny because on one hand, it's like, wow, like if they're being as live quarterbacks and if they're being as physical as Rule wanted to be, like going into the spring, if they had sort of that violent spring ball that is necessary, it's like, oh, okay, like there are going to be injury risks involved, and to come out healthy is pretty nice. But also, it's like what Satterfield said. I think it was Satterfield said the other day. If you're able to play just like you're normally playing football, then there's almost sometimes less injury risk than if you're trying to just sort of tiptoe around it and be cautious on the field. So
something that's slightly related to the injuries and something that I found really interesting after listening to Rule yesterday is that the offensive line will be in gray jerseys so that they can have them playing on both teams, red and white. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm really interested in seeing the types of combinations of offensive linemen that they throw out there for the first and second team and what have you, and just how tired maybe those guys end up getting by playing kind of sort of both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I was glad that Rule talked about that yesterday because I was interested how that situation was going to be handled. And yeah, I think the number's 9 healthy scholarship offensive linemen. Then because there's a couple early enrollees who haven't, or a couple 2023 signees who aren't on campus yet. Then a bunch of walk-ons in addition to that. So I do wonder if we're going to, maybe later in the game, we start seeing offensive linemen rotate mid-series, and probably going to see a lot of snaps for the walk-on guys. And as Rule has mentioned, I mean, he thinks there's a couple offensive linemen who are scholarship guys on the roster. So maybe it'll be one more opportunity and a major spotlight for those guys to prove themselves that they are deserving of a scholarship or increased practice reps with the twos. So yeah, I mean there could be some fatigue once we hit like the third quarter, but that's the other another reason for the essentially running clock throughout the spring game is to try to maximize the time and help out with the thin offensive line numbers.
We're talking to Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska, and Zack, one comment that Matt Rule said yesterday in his little presser was that they're not going to be vanilla with the playbook. We know Marcus Satterfield's going to call all the plays. And I feel like this might have been a quote that kind of went under the radar to some, because for Husker fans in years past, it's been nothing but vanilla, nothing but the basic plays. And so when you hear that, how much benefit and how much value is there knowing that like Marcus Satterfield is going to call this like a game, and they are kind of continuing with and adding on to that mantra of this is a football game and Nebraska's just got to learn how to play football.
Yep, that was one of the three biggest takeaways that I wrote about last night after his presser was we're going to get a real playbook. I had to rephrase it when I wrote it because I said full playbook, but phrasing is important because we're not going to see the full playbook or full assortment of schemes and designs. I mean, even if they had that installed and we're comfortable running out a full playbook, we wouldn't see that. But we're going to see a real playbook. There's not going to be a bunch of bogus stuff that they'll never run in a million years once the regular season kicks off.
Yeah.
So just an extra reps, really valuable reps that we're going to see on Saturday. And we had talked throughout the week that like at Inside Nebraska with Steve and Greg, like that last Saturday scrimmage was going to be most likely going to be much more valuable than the spring game. And still true, that was probably more valuable, but I don't know. We might have that might not be the case anymore, where it was much more valuable than the spring game. If they're gonna play this thing out as Rule anticipates and the way they're talking, like it's gonna be a pretty impactful capper to spring ball.
Zack, I one other thing you guys wrote about there over at Inside Nebraska, you wrote an article regarding one single question for each offensive position. And for running back, you bring up Gabe Ervin, you mentioned Anthony Grant. I mean, I guess this is kind of a two-parter question. What do we expect to see when you look at this running back room? And obviously we're not going to have all of our questions answered by April 23rd, but I mean, we're sitting here and the scholarship number is looming. Is there a chance that Nebraska sees not only some attrition from some bigger name guys in that running back room, and kind of what do you expect to see and who's the leader in that room if you had to take a guess?
See, I think Gabe Ervin, the way they talk about him and the way we've seen him on the field when he's healthy, I would say he's probably the leader in that room. And I mean, maybe the most, whether you want to say most talented or most valuable, just with his running style and his physical running style, he's not afraid. I mean, that guy is not afraid of contact. He runs hard and he's fast. Rule said he's one of the fastest guys on the team, even at 6 feet and up to 221 pounds as of March 20th, like beginning of spring ball. So I think he's come along. He's been one of the stars of the offseason, as Rule put it. But AJ Allen, I mean, he was well on his way last year before he got hurt to substantial role as the number 2 behind Anthony Grant. Maybe he would have been able to overtake Grant for the number 1 spot. And Grant's someone who I think, because of how exciting the come up has been for Gabe Ervin this offseason and with AJ Allen being as talented as he is, I think Grant sometimes gets lost among that shuffle. And it's also a product of the second half of the season. I mean, first 5 games, he ran for 600 yards, 5 touchdowns on 114 carries. And then last 7 games of the season, ran for almost half of that amount of yards, 315 on almost the same amount of carries, 104. So curious to see how Barthel has worked with him with the drill work they do of working on lowering your shoulder, running through the offensive line, like running through contact instead of what Grant started to rely on during those struggles was sort of dancing around in the backfield or just sort of trying to juke or make guys miss instead of just powering through them and gaining that 3 or 4 yard run instead of trying to hit a home run, because he had so much success with that early in the season against North Dakota and Indiana especially, but and Georgia Southern. So I don't know. I know they feel awesome about that room. Emmett Johnson is the low man on the totem pole, but I think it would be too early to see him make a move. Like I've said before, I don't like speculating on specific transfer candidates.
Yes.
But I know that staff likes him. I mean, they love his vision and the way he sort of attacks, like going through the line of scrimmage. I mean, and you heard Barthel if you saw the running back video they put out on their Twitter account or earlier this week, he said one of the things that stood out was he was telling one of the running backs, I forget who, run the ball with your eyes, run with your eyes, which was kind of a cool little coaching tidbit. And Emmett Johnson's got that vision. I don't think he'll have much of a role as a running back this season, but I think you're going to see him quite a bit on special teams if he continues to progress. He was out there first practice we saw running alongside Josh Gleeks as part of that number 1 kick return unit. So even the low man on the totem pole in the running back room still is talented enough and valuable enough to make an impact on special teams. But I mean, that's a really talented group with one of the best up and coming coaches in the country in Barthel. So it's really exciting.
Zach, last one before we let you go. Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska joining us. We got about 3 minutes left or so. When you kind of look ahead, obviously not too far, but we look ahead to Saturday night, tomorrow night. What's going to be the headline if you had to put your predictor cap on? What are people going to be talking about?
700 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns for Heiner.
Perfect.
Obviously, off the bat, that's bold prediction. I don't know. Probably. I mean, we're going to be talking about the offensive line, good or bad. I mean, either the offensive line or the pass rush. I mean, it's what happened last year from everything I've gathered is the defensive line dominated the offensive line, and I think the prevailing headline was, the pass rush is going to be awesome. But it turned out that they were not awesome.
Yeah.
And the offensive line was likewise not awesome.
Well, it was a 2-hand touch game last year. So you barely were able to understand anything from last year or gather anything.
Yeah. And that's like we talked about before, that's the added bonus of making quarterbacks live and having it be as physical and not tagging off, as Miles Farmer once said, which as an aside, that's still my favorite presser, because they just got killed by Oklahoma and he was pissed off, and he faced the music that game, and he was just clearly frustrated. He's like, "You've been tagging off for 4 years. What do you expect?" I'm like, I don't blame you. I'm like, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you for being frustrated at all. But I think the number one thing that I'm going to be looking for, and I think will be talked about outside of like individual performances that catch our eye, is obviously you turn to the quarterbacks. I mean, I know we talk about it all the time, and sort of beat it over people's heads, but I mean, it's the most important position, and it's not settled. And you have a really enticing, potentially electric guy in Jeff Sims, who is he's starting to gain a foothold in that QB1 race. I mean, that was one question I had. The number one question I had coming into the spring is the quarterback battle isn't really going to get started until fall camp, was my assertion going in. But would Sims be able to gain some legitimate momentum and establish a legitimate foothold, or how much of a foothold he would be able to establish in that race for the starting job? And he's early rumblings out of spring practice was he's a little erratic with his throws. I mean, just whether it's accuracy issues or issues with throwing it maybe a little too hard when it wasn't necessary, like throwing some wild pitches. And him and Satterfield both said number one thing to work on for him was consistency. And over the past 2-3 weeks, that's been happening in practice, where he's shown that consistency with throwing. So his accuracy and his processing of information in a really sort of notoriously complex offensive scheme from Satterfield is my main thing I'm going to be watching, and we'll see if that does wind up being number one takeaway. I mean, if Sims has an awesome spring game, I mean, that's going to just drive the hype train even more.
Yeah. You're probably right about that. Well, Zach, hey, we appreciate it big time as always. Thanks for moving up about 25 minutes earlier than normal. And I'm guessing I'll probably see you in about 20 minutes as well.
Yeah, Nick, I'll see you over there. Rico, I'll see you never.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Well,
I just hear your voice.
Yeah, Nick's the only one that's allowed to go to these pressers because he thinks that he's special.
That's not true. That is not true.
I always say, hey, Nick.
That's what his mom tells him. So, yeah.
Exactly.
On, Zach.
I always say, hey, Nick, how about I go to one of these? And he goes, no, I go to these. And I go, oh, okay, my bad. Sorry.
Rico, you want to go to Frank Solich because you know that's not true.
No, it's true. It's too late.
Rico, tell Zach the conversation we had.
It's too. I have work to get done.
All right.
Because you have to leave, so I have to get the work done.
Trouble in paradise. All right, I guess I'll be putting in my application for the new co-host, whoever gets booted off here.
Perfect.
Your guys' chemistry is going down the toilet.
The one everybody. It'd be interesting to see who people would want booted off. You. It's probably
It'd be Survivor Radio Edition.
All right, Zach. Hey, we'll talk to you soon, man. Have a mango habanero margarita sometime soon, and we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, appreciate you guys. I'll see you later.
That is Zack Carpenter of Inside Nebraska. Good stuff, as always. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a replay of a Frank Solich interview from early break, but I got the okay to play it because I was on that episode because Jake was in Myrtle Beach. Yeah. And so
we're going to break it into two parts.
You're going to hear, okay, cool. So you're going to break it into two parts. Rico, you might have to like intro it and then hit it.
We'll see what happens.
Then we'll be good to go. Frank Solich talked to the media in about 17 minutes. Yeah, 17 minutes. And so I'm gonna skedaddle out of here. Have a great weekend. 10:30 a.m. Tipsy Tina's 8th and Q in the Haymarket. Make sure you stick around. Hang out with all of us at Tipsy Tina's as we get you ready for the spring game. Happy hour rolls on. Coming up next.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. Just stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina is the talk of the Haymarket, and for good reason. Grab a breakfast taco on a game day morning or stop by for lunch or dinner for the street taco options. They have everything from carne asada or chorizo tacos to shrimp or fish tacos, buffalo chicken, and more. Plus, they have more than 140 different tequilas and tons of other beer or mixed drink options. There's truly something for everyone. Let's stop by for any meal of the day at Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina, 8th and Q in the Haymarket.
Getting experience to jumping career difficult award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Association and this station.
Experience cool blue waters right above ground swimming pools at Bonds on 50% off. This offer is good through the end of May or until supplies run out. Our stock will go fast, so hurry in and claim your new pool now. And don't forget to stock up for the season chemical sale for any new or existing pool. Learn more at bondsallpool.com or visit us at 33rd and Highway 2. Bond Pool, every day made better.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. But now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction material. They sell in bulk to save you money, buying anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. They deliver anywhere, and if you mention you heard this ad on 93.7 The Ticket, they'll deliver in town for free through the month of April with some restrictions applying. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
Imagine your next staff meeting. Now imagine your next staff meeting with a side of ribs. Your next client presentation, or that same client presentation with brisket and baked beans. It's better, right? Let Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul take care of all of your business catering needs. Feed the staff, cater your next event, whatever you need, Mary Ellen's can help. They can even host your events in their brand new event space located right next to the restaurant. Go see for yourself. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake or online at maryellens.com. Let them fix you a plate.
It's April, and that means the school year is almost over and summer road trips are on the horizon. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Hey guys, Nick Sainert here for The Body Shop. I recently had an incredible massage from Dennis and his team at The Body Shop, and now a massage for you can possibly turn into a free massage for your mom. That's right, with every service you receive in April, your name is put into a drawing for a free massage gift certificate that can turn into a wonderful Mother's Day gift for the mom in your life. Book your appointment at thebodyshoplincoln.com and stop by their location at 48th and A. The Body Shop.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I don't believe you people.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people? Huh?
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As Nick mentioned before, we are going to be playing a replay of a Frank Solich interview that he had along with Steve Sipple and Coach Bill Bush on early break a couple of weeks ago. So without further ado, let's get to that Frank Solich interview.
We go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline where we have a very special guest. It was announced a couple days ago that former Husker and Ohio head coach Frank Solich will be returning for the spring game as a special guest on April 22nd. And now we bring in the coach himself. Frank, appreciate you taking some time out of your day and spending it with us. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to do it, Solich. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Coach. This is Bill Bush. Obviously, we go back a long way. And I want to start something out here because it's been really funny that Sipple thinks this is hilarious, Coach.
What's that?
He talks relentlessly about the huge Potato Bowl victory that you had over me when I was at Utah State as the defensive coordinator. You took your team into Boise.
You did.
Beat us 24-23. He thinks that's hilarious. And he talks about the epic celebration on the field. But
I didn't know Bill was coaching the other team, Frank.
I think it's a little hilarious myself. I like it. It was great.
Coach, it was. That was a great job by your team.
Actually, we've been to the Potato Bowl a number of years, and people have treated us great. It's a great bowl to go to. So I have good memories of those.
Yeah, at my expense. Coach, you're right though. That's what people don't understand is when you're on teams like you were the head coach at Ohio U and you're at Utah State or wherever else. And we went back the next year, happened to get a win the next year, but you get treated so well. And the bowl game's so good. But anyway, we got other things that are way more important to talk about that. So go ahead.
Frank, this is Sipple. And all I was saying was I remember watching that game, and I think it was Ohio. It was Ohio's first bowl victory, I think, or the first bowl victory in a long time. And I always use it as an example of these bowls are important, and I saw the elation. I saw the elation. I just didn't know that Bill was on the other end.
I was sitting right next to him as he's going over this whole thing.
Anyway, Frank, now how did this all go down, you coming back? How long was the process that led to you finally returning and being, we'll say, honored?
Honor's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that it was a process necessarily, Sip. It was a situation where it didn't seem like it made sense for me to come back, and to be honest with you, I feel comfortable about it right now. Trev has been, I've mentioned this a time or two before to people that Trev has been relentless at inviting me back, and obviously feeling welcome there by him as much as he was throwing that out there. I appreciated that. And, I had some contact with Coach Rule. He was a busy guy, just became the head coach at Nebraska. He made some contact with me. And so again, I felt welcomed there. And Coach Osborne's always been a big influence in my life. And he was always, he'll never tell you what to do. He'll leave that up to you. But you listen to him, and I knew he felt that it would be a good deal if I came back, and so it all just kind of added up, Sip, and I appreciate certainly what all those people have done to get me back, and I just want to make sure everybody understands that I love the players that I worked with there at Nebraska. The coaches, a lot of great coaches. The fans, were great. Fans have got to be fans. You can't please them all the time, and sometimes can't please them at all. In certain cases, but they were great. And so it made sense to come back at this point.
Okay.
Coach, Bill Bush here again. I think you probably have a grasp of it, but I think it'll be much more when you get here of what the fan base is like. I was here this last season again for my third time. That this fan base, Coach, is going to go crazy for having you return. And I'm sure you probably have some idea of it. I know that these people have reached out to you and done a great job, but this fan base is going to be like over the top for your return. Obviously, for what you've done as a player as a coach, assistant coach, as a head coach, everything you've done like that, it's gonna be kind of a euphoric state to see you back on that field. And just wanted you to know that I do have a good feel for what the vibe is in the state, and it's pretty crazy right now. And it's awesome to have you a chance to come back, because I know who you are, that you do not like to draw attention to yourself. I know that's who Frank Solich is, but it's time for a lot of spotlight to go on you.
Well, anything that we got accomplished there was accomplished by a lot of people, and that's the way it is in this sport. I think you give yourself your best chance if you hire good people and obviously surround yourself with good people. And I was fortunate for the most part for that to be the case. So I feel really good, as I mentioned, and comfortable about coming back. And I, who knows how everybody's going to react. We'll see. But the fans are amazing at Nebraska. I think that's known around the country for what they're all about, and supporting the University of Nebraska. The sellout record, I think, still goes on. And they come from all over the state and out of the state to attend the games, and they travel with the team when the team plays away from home. So it's certainly a state that supports this program as much as any in the country.
Frank Solich joins us, former Nebraska player, assistant, and head coach, who went 58-19 at Nebraska, coming back April 2nd to be honored by the school. Frank, what did it mean to you? Now, Trevor's talked about this, Frank, that Matt Rule, the new head coach at Nebraska, reached out to you. What did that mean to you to have that happen? And what, I mean, I don't expect you to share all the details of those conversations, but what are the nature of those conversations like?
Well, first of all, I think Matt has done a great job in a very short period of time. As I understand it, he's gotten around the state to visit with, if not health schools, most of the schools in the state. Him and some maybe staff members have spread out to get that done. And I think he's done all the right things. He contacted Coach Osborne right away when he got back here, which makes a lot of sense. And so he's touching all the bases that I think will give him a great shot at producing a great program. And he's a good coach. Really coached against him a couple times in when he was at Temple, and he was I believe the defensive coordinator at that time. We happened to beat him both times.
Nice. It's very potato bowl-ish. Nice job. Make sure to remind him of that, Coach, when you do meet him face to face. Just have those scores tattooed on your shoulder or something.
Yeah.
Coach, what some people I always have to give the live version of something of how kind you are, and everyone knows that. Okay. And so, like with myself, so people know that when we lost the national championship on the missed field goal at Florida State, myself and Jerry Godowski, our time was up. So when we returned, our offices were already empty. And so I had no place to go. I had no job. I had no chance of a job. It was like career was like, so I'd spent at that time 5 years at GA.
Okay.
I had nowhere to go. And Frank Solich is the only reason that I'm in coaching.
Why is that? Why?
He reached out to Barry Alvarez. He called Barry himself and said, I will get a hold of Barry, and Barry will take care of you. And that's what happened. He called him. Barry said, not a problem. And he instantly sent me up to Madison. And that's how I got started on that staff up there and got to meet all those coaches through Coach Solich. And Coach Solich also made sure when Barry came to speak at the clinic that I picked him up at the airport, so I got to meet him and know him even prior to, so he knew who I was. So, Coach, forever and grateful in debt. And also right now too, Coach, I don't have a job now either. So if you know somebody you can call, that'd be awesome. Like
okay.
that. But
well, I could call Barry again, but I think he's working for the Big Ten office.
Yes, is that commissioner job still open?
Yeah, so maybe he can get you on there, Bill. But yeah, Barry and I go way back. Played ball together at Nebraska, and got to be really good friends. And, he did a great job there at Madison and turned that program around. And we first started our coaching business in the high school ranks, and actually coached against one another a little bit in the state of Nebraska as high school coaches when we started out as coaches. And so we got a pretty good history of being close to one another, and so that was an easy call for me to make, because I knew if he had had an opportunity that he'd look at putting you on. So that was great. I'm glad it worked out for you.
Yeah, without you,
the business is a tough business, and when a guy gets let go, it affects not only his family but all the assistant coaches' families, and it reaches out quite a bit, and it can be tough on a lot of people.
Frank Solich joins us. Frank, I know I'm trying to put this in perspective. Your return. How often do you get back to Lincoln? And my understanding is you've never been back for an official event at the university. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
How often do you get back here?
Well, our daughter, her husband, and 3 grandchildren live in Lincoln, so we get back, a fair amount of the time to see them and spend time with them. And so, I'm still familiar with Lincoln and how it's grown, and it's a great city, and obviously a great city to recruit to, and great football town, and so I enjoy getting back. I've never been to the stadium to watch a game or anything else, but yeah, I got back quite a bit. My wife and I, Pam, we get back. In fact, we'll be coming. Obviously, getting a chance to be around them when we come back for the event that's coming up.
Excellent.
That is the first half of the Frank Solich interview from early break a couple weeks back. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll play the second part of the Frank Solich interview. We'll be right back on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Imagine your next staff meeting. Now imagine your next staff meeting with a side of ribs. Your next client presentation, or that same client presentation with brisket and baked beans. It's better, right? Let Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul take care of all of your business catering needs. Feed the staff, cater your next event, whatever you need, Mary Ellen's can help. They can even host your events in their brand new event space located right next to the restaurant. Go see for yourself. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake or online at maryellens.com. Let them fix you a plate.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install them and forget them outfit, long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
It's April, and that means the school year is almost over and summer road trips are on the horizon. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Spring is here, and Acres has special financing on all John Deere lawn tractors and zero-turn mowers. Get your yard looking great and use John Deere's wide selection of attachments to landscape your property to perfection. And for a limited time, with a purchase of a new John Deere mower, get up to $200 to apply to the steel power tool of your choice. From trimmers to chainsaws, gas or electric, Acres is your home for steel products and service. Acres, solutions for every field.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina is the talk of the Haymarket, and for good reason. Grab a breakfast taco on a game day morning or stop by for lunch or dinner for their huge variety of street taco options. They have everything from carne asada or chorizo tacos to shrimp or fish tacos, buffalo chicken, and more. Plus, they have more than 140 different tequilas and tons of other beer or mixed drink options. There's truly something for everyone. Make plans to stop by for any meal of the day at Tipsy Tina's Taco Cantina, 8th and Q in the Haymarket.
Wolf Ace Hardware, your local hardware man, reminds friends to please give blood generously. By doing so, your efforts could save the life of a child, a surgery patient, or even that of an accident victim. So why not be a silent hero? Roll up your sleeves and give the gift of life. This message from Wolf Ace Hardware at 6118 Havelock Avenue here in Lincoln. A quality company that cares. Contractors and homeowners, get to Wolf Ace Hardware for all your paint, brushes, and anything else you need for your upcoming projects. For more information, call 402-466-7707. Wolf Ace Hardware, wishing all a very healthy spring season.
Let me share something to make life just a little easier. It's just one word, Bryant. If we need service on our furnace or AC, we call Bryant. Same thing goes for an electrical issue. If I have a problem with my faucet, a toilet, a drain, or a water heater, I don't need to know how to fix something. I just need to know who to call. And at our house, it's Bryant.
Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Just one call. 467-1111. Remember, we do whatever it takes.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $20 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Him and tell me there's a God.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary. Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
As I promised, the second part of that Frank Solich interview starting up right now.
Excellent. Coach, obviously, one of the things that has to stick out is just, it's just ridiculous pride for you, I'm sure, is what you did at Ohio U.
Yes.
How you went to Ohio U. And I know now that the field is named after you. How you went there, and you did a very, like myself was on Tony Samuel's staff at New Mexico State, all Huskers.
Mm-hmm.
You had a very much Husker staff there. Obviously, I'm very close with Jimmy Burrow. He was on the show the other day, but you had Jerry Godowski, you had Kevin Leitner. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
You had a bunch of coaches, and you took kind of the Nebraska way there, and wow, did it work. Just tell us about how you turned that around and how rewarding that was for you to be able to be like, wow, I mean, what an unbelievable job.
Yeah, well, those guys were all winning football coaches, and I knew that that would give me my best chance as a head coach to be successful there. And and I had a friendship with those guys. Besides knowing that they were excellent coaches, so they were very easy hires on my end to get them to come to Ohio University, and they did a great job there. Just a great job. Athens is a small community, small town, college town. 20-some thousand students. Great academic institution. not a lot of football history there in terms of success. And I guess one of the things that I feel most good about is being able to turn that program around. If I have this correct, I think it was the previous 22 years, maybe since our staff, the previous year since after we got hired, the previous 22 years, I don't think they had a winning season. And so, they had a long ways to go to be successful. But, the president of the university, the AD at the university, they all wanted to make it work. And the thing that I always knew is that, hey, athletes want to win, man. The athletes at Ohio want to win every bit as much as the athletes at Nebraska, as the athletes at Ohio State. And so I knew it'd be an enjoyable time. At least I thought it would be an enjoyable time, and to coach again and coach there. And I think 3 out of my 4 jobs, 2 of them high school jobs, the Nebraska job and the Ohio job, those were all 3 of the 4 were rebuilding jobs. And so I was used to doing that. And I took a lot of pride in doing that. So it was not that hard for me to accept a job at Ohio and work at turning it around.
We're talking to Coach Frank Solich right here on Early Break. And Coach Solich, as somebody that has been in the coaching game for so long and is so experienced, you look at Ohio, and I believe you guys went to 11 bowl games in your 16 years. And you mentioned that you had coaches on that staff that were winning ball coaches. What characteristics in your eyes defines a winning ball coach?
I think he's got to be able to relate to people. You got to be able to certainly relate to recruits. You got to relate to parents. You got to relate to members of your football team. And if you can do that fairly well, that certainly gives you your best chance. And I knew that these guys had the ability to be those kind of coaches. And so they were also great coaches. They knew the game. And I knew about their work ethic, and that's huge in this business. Because you can't outwork people, and every one of those coaches had a great work ethic, and I knew that there would be a chemistry that would develop amongst those coaches on the staff that would be a real positive. That would be a real positive for the program, and so that's what caused me to hire them, and they proved to be great hires.
Awesome, Coach. Coach, I got a question for you. Obviously, during your run here at Nebraska, you were nationally known as the best running back coach in the nation.
Yes.
And during that time, and I remember for one semester, if you probably remember that, I worked with you with the running backs just before I flipped over to defense,
Yep.
which was a lot of learning, and you treated me like gold to grade film with me. But the thing that was the most amazing about you on the field, Coach, I want to know if you can still do it. You did a balance drill, the one hand down balance drill, when you'd go down the line and you would switch hands with the ball, and you were always the demonstrator. You did that well later into your career. You're in the 50s. Coach, can you still do it?
I'm going to say yes, but I haven't tried it for many years.
Coach,
I got a lot of confidence in myself.
Yeah, Coach is very fit all the time, so I'm just telling you, it was unreal to watch. He'd grab the ball and he'd go one hand down, the opposite leg up, and he'd switch hands. He'd go right down the line, and then you see these guys all on scholarship go, and it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't look as near as good as Coach Solich did. And I'm just sitting there going and I'm just like, oh, please, God, do not have me do this drill.
You didn't do it?
I did
Frank
not
did
do
it.
it.
You
No,
didn't.
no.
Frank did it. You didn't.
Yeah, probably. A big age difference. He did it. I didn't do it. It was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't want to expose any of my coaches.
Thank you. Hey, Coach, you know what's going on this weekend? Because Coach Solich also ran this, and it was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
We got the coaches clinic going on, and Coach Solich was the organizer, and he ran the high school coaches clinic, always in conjunction with spring practice.
Spring ball, yeah.
That was a lot, wasn't it, Coach? Can you explain kind of what that was like down there in Schulte and everything?
Yeah, it was a lot because, you know, the name of the program and Coach Osborne and all that's involved with that attracted coaches from all around the country that would come, and so you had to be fairly organized to
it was
pull
thousands
that off because of the numbers and that, and so it was, I can't say fun to organize, but it was certainly fun to put on and be around all the coaches that came back, and so I got to know a lot of high school coaches around the country just from the clinic, and it was a good thing for our whole staff and for recruiting. And yeah, Coach Osborne put me in charge of that, and you know, so
you didn't really have an opt out, did you, Coach? You had to kind of run with it.
No. You know, Coach says, "Hey, Frank, what do you think about running the program?" When Coach Osborne says something like that, you know what he wants, you know, and so I jumped right into it. Yeah.
Speaking of Coach Osborne, he is the speaker at this weekend's event, Frank, the Coaches Clinic. Now, you mentioned something about Tom. You thought it was important that Rule reach out to him. I mean, there's some obvious reasons, but I want to hear your words. Why do you think it was important for Matt Rule to reach out to Tom Osborne?
Yeah, you know, Tom had a proven way of winning at Nebraska, you know, and obviously when you have a guy that's accomplished what he's accomplished, national championships, you know, conference championships, and just had the entire state surrounding the program and becoming attached to the program. Those are all things that you want when you come in as a head coach, and so it only makes sense to contact the guy that was the best at it in really college football, and so at that period of time, and so you know, you just I'm not so sure that everybody did that took the head job there at Nebraska, but I know it was a smart move by Matt, and I'm sure he gained a lot of information that'll be valuable to him in his conversations with Tom.
You know, Coach, we've had everyone that came through the program, especially when you're there as an assistant coach and a head coach, had chances to, I think I've had 3 of them of Big 8 rings and conference championships, but I'm sure you're well aware that the last conference championship is under your watch. That's the last one. And so obviously another great reason to have you back here. Can you touch on that team maybe a little bit on that last conference championship that you were able to win?
1999.
Yeah. You know, we had talented guys, and there's no question about it. You know, there was great unity amongst those players. You know, they were ready to go to battle for one another, and loved what they were all about in terms of their work ethic. And you know what? As a group, they had great toughness, and you give yourself your best chance if you have guys that have got great toughness, you know, and always tried to recruit tough guys. You know, you can see it on film, and I've always tried to recruit those kind of guys. You know, you need talent, obviously. You need guys that can run, but if you got guys that can run and are athletic and they're not very tough, there is a limit to what they can get accomplished for you. So I'll take a bunch of tough guys anytime, and that group was that way. So yeah, that a lot of really good memories. You know, and I've got good memories of really all those teams, and you know, some of the losses that occurred, those memories kind of stick in my head too. You know,
sure.
I always found it a little difficult to go home and get right to sleep after a ball game. You'd play the game over and over again in your head, you know, and then the worst thing was in the business waking up the next morning if you didn't get the win, and knowing that, hey, that was not a nightmare, that actually happened. But thank goodness it didn't happen too often.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Coach, we can't thank you enough for spending 20-25 minutes with us this morning. And I hope I think all of us, all Husker fans, all of us media members as well, can't even begin to describe how excited we are and lucky we are to have the opportunity to come back and honor you on April 22nd when you return to Lincoln.
Can't wait to see you, Coach.
All right.
Great
I
job.
appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care, Frank.
There he is, Coach Frank Solich, former Husker, Ohio Bobcat head coach. Really, really good stuff from him.
That's the Frank Solich you knew from early break a couple weeks back. That'll do it for the happy hour. On the block up next, Austin Norman, Eric Strickland will take you for another 2 hours. But thank you for listening this week, and come join us at Tipsy Tina's tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Adios.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at the